Hi, and welcome to The Leader's Edge. Today, Georgia and I are going solo. We are flying solo today. It's just the two of us, and we're going to be using our leadership coaching experience and our corporate experience to talk about a topic that we really just don't talk enough about: how to have constructive disagreements. So I'm sure we've all had the experience of leading a team, a project, with everyone agreeing and cooperating, but there seems to be this one person or small group who has to criticize and never wants to go along. So most of us will call that person or our problem or difficult ones, right? And with a label like that, we won't fully engage or listen to their point of view. And instead, what we do is we might try to strong arm them or just get them to fall in line in order to either maintain our sense of authority, make an example, or for the sake of efficiency, because sometimes, we're just so busy, we don't feel like we have the time to engage. So
Mhm.
we just, push things along. But what we want to ask you is, are we missing something important when we do that? So, as we dive into this topic, of course, I'm going to ask you guys the question to bring your awareness to this idea of constructive disagreements or disagreements on the whole and how you handle it. So, when you are leading a team, a project, or even in your personal life, how have you been handling opposition and disagreements? Scale of 1 to 10. 10 is you manage to have some engaging conversation around it, you're able to find common ground and move forward. And 1 means the opposite, where different views are not expressed, people might grumble, but nothing really said. You end up having to put your foot down, and have to demand compliance. So remember, it's a continuum. None of us are perfect, but the rating always, we ask these questions always to bring your mind to see where am I currently on this scale. So where are you, wherever you are, that's fine. Just bring your mind to that number. And so I'm going to invite Georgia in to talk about this some more for us to get into this conversation about disagreements, constructive disagreements. So, Georgia, why is this important?
Huh. Emily, what a question you're asking me so early in the morning about constructive disagreement. Because, as leaders, sometimes there's this big ego, and you see that ego rearing its head when there's disagreement because you think you have this perfect idea, and there's this one person who just has to disagree. But it's important for us to have this open dialogue, where dissenting views are aired freely. Because if we do not do that, then we can have this maybe false harmony. I want to maybe sometimes think about it too as artificial, this artificial harmony, where on
Mm-hmm.
the surface, it seems that there's agreement with everything, but then sometimes nothing gets done because we're just
Yes.
going along. We're just going along. And we feel that when we say something and we think it's a great idea, then everyone has to go along. So those meetings feel smooth and the conversations feel positive, and these disagreements get glossed over. So it's very important for us to make sure that we are encouraging our people to give their viewpoint, whether that viewpoint agrees with ours or not, or their dissenting views. Make sure that we have everyone raise their points. On
Mm-hmm.
the surface, it can feel like the team is aligned. But when we go a little deeper, there may be some cracks down there, and those cracks start showing. Have you ever experienced that, Emily? And we want to find out if our listeners have experienced that.
Yes, Georgia, absolutely. I feel like it's the conversations that happen after the meeting. So, you have a meeting,
Yes.
it might feel tense, or it might actually feel like it went well, and you're thinking, oh wow, this is good. And then outside, the real conversation happens
Mm-hmm.
where people for some reason didn't feel comfortable to raise a question, or they just didn't
Mm-hmm.
feel like um, they maybe didn't feel like they knew the answer to the question, but had a concern and was
Yes.
able to raise that concern, or felt like they didn't want to be the only one to sound like they weren't going along, so they just
Mm-hmm.
didn't. But outside, they would find themselves in their little groups in there with their peers, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and have those conversations, and sometimes that causes a lot of back and forth, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because as you said, maybe we made a decision, but then when it's time to execute, people are slow in executing
Yes.
because they didn't really buy in. They have
Yes.
their concerns, they're not really raising it. They all of a sudden problems are popping up, but you can't put your finger on, well,
Put
why?
your finger.
On why it's not happening. And it's
Mm-hmm.
because they weren't able to truly express have their concern addressed,
Mm-hmm.
or express their idea or whatnot. They just didn't buy in, right? They
Mm-hmm.
didn't get the opportunity to buy in.
Yes, yes. And Emily, you know what that is saying to us? That maybe is an environment where people do not feel safe. You know, we're talking about safe harbor and psychological safety.
Yeah.
That's one of the cues that as leaders we should take, that people do not feel safe, because if they have that idea and they're willing to share it, that's wonderful. If they have that idea and they're withholding it, it means they do not feel safe to share that idea, because they
Correct.
may be vilified, or nobody wants to talk to them afterwards because they have a dissenting view. So it's very
Or they
important.
may feel vilified. So it might not
Yes,
even be that they are.
that's
But
true.
again, but so that's begging the question. So what's happening here
Yes,
is that we are eroding trust instead of building it
that's
in
it.
our teams.
Yes,
We are allowing people to go along feeling like we all smiling, but
yes,
deep down, people don't like each other. They don't agree. They have
yes.
like all of these issues. And so
Mm-hmm.
in a team like that, it feels toxic after a while.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
That's where toxic behavior starts to become
yes.
apparent. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the dysfunction start rearing
Yeah.
their head. Yes, you see
Correct.
more the dysfunction of a team.
Yeah.
You remember that famous saying, the US, when there was this disruption, was it in Chicago? And the guy said, "Can't we all just get along?" You remember that one? I don't know how many. Maybe that one is dating me, showing my age. But
I don't remember the exact thing, but of course that statement. I mean, I
yeah,
feel it all the time. And I think a
yeah.
lot of us too, we just don't feel comfortable
Mm-hmm.
raising not agreeing.
Yes.
So it might be that we might actually feel that way too. It's not like the environment is so unsafe, but we feel so
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable
Yes.
saying, "Hey, I don't agree with this." So
Mm-hmm.
it's probably also giving tools or allowing space for people to feel that they can,
They
even,
can.
and encourage it, even
Yes.
when deep down, like I might have this huge, I don't know, it's whether it's a fear, phobia, or just wanting to be liked. So
Yes.
you just don't say anything. You're just
Don't
like,
say
okay,
anything.
okay,
Yeah.
and
Right. So
yeah,
it's from both sides. So it's from the leader's side and those who are part of the team. And
yeah,
sometimes too, it's because of the experience they may have had in another team, where they
yeah,
bring that experience to this new team. So it is
yeah,
very important for the leader now to be aware of what's going on.
yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
yeah. So now another thing, Emily, if we don't encourage this thing now, then we discourage engagement.
We definitely
Because yes,
discourage.
because people are going to sit on the sidelines. And I picture this meeting where everyone is just nodding their heads all the time. If everyone in every meeting for every decision nods their heads every time, it means somebody isn't thinking. That's exactly what it means. Somebody isn't thinking, because if we're all just going along, it means we're just going along. So picture a situation of maybe compliance. Picture something in occupational safety and health. Let's picture something in strategy. If nobody ever disagrees, can you imagine the disaster that can happen if everything is decided by one person and nobody challenges what he or she says? So
Hmm.
think of those critical areas. How you feel about that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this idea of healthy conflict is a real positive, right? So what we really want from teams generally, or people, the reason we bring on people in teams is to have synergy, is
Yeah.
to have more, because we have all these people in
Mm-hmm.
in, in the team, the experiences, the knowledge, everything from those persons. So if we are not able to harness that in reality, for this, because we are so concerned with just moving forward too
Mm-hmm.
quickly, we are missing out on the most powerful part of
Yes.
having the people on the team in the first place. So the
Yeah.
idea is disagreement isn't bad.
No.
It's what is necessary is to have respectful and challenging disagreements,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to look at the outcome, not at the person or the
Yes.
people that are raising the issues. And
Yes.
I think it requires a level of maturity by everyone in the
Mm-hmm.
room. But of course, the leader always has to be the one setting the tone or allowing, setting the tone, creating the environment. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, to your point earlier, where we talked about people who might just avoid conflict, they don't feel comfortable raising. We have the other persons who always feel not heard. So they come out all guns blazing, like
Yes.
and it
Yes.
sounds like an attack. And so, how can we raise our disagreements respectfully and
Mm-hmm.
really talk and try to get to the root of what the issues are
You are.
having,
Yeah.
as opposed to saying, I don't agree with that. Okay, so why don't you agree? What is the real concern? And really get to
Yes.
the root of what's happening so we can understand, how to work with it, how to
Mm-hmm.
work with whatever is being raised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those are some solid points, Emily. Let us think about now disagreement. We're saying that disagreement is not about the personality, but it's about the issues that we are dealing with. So it's not me versus you. It's us versus the problem. And can you
Yes.
imagine when we form that alliance with us versus the problem, how much easier we're going to be handling it, and how now we are going to ensure that we increase the trust level in our teams. Because
Yeah.
when we don't have open space for constructive disagreement, we are reducing trust in the team. What do you think
Yes.
about that?
Absolutely. And I think also without healthy conflict, what happens is we tend to stagnate. Things tend
Yes.
to stagnate, as we mentioned, things might get slower. So what happens there is that we're not growing. And if we're not
Mm-hmm.
growing, guess what? We
Mm-hmm.
are declining
Oh
as a
yeah.
team. So our business is not moving forward because we are not able to get everyone on board, because we're not able
Right.
to harness the the true energy of everyone. We're draining the
Yes.
energy by having this back and forth, back and forth. So it's draining. It becomes, as you say,
Mm-hmm.
a very negative space instead of a positive possibility thinking,
Mm-hmm.
open space.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we shift then? So the idea is, okay, so we understand why it's important
Yes.
to have these healthy, to have these constructive disagreements. That's the term that we're coining. And how do we shift from this idea of this false or artificial harmony by
Mm-hmm.
using healthy, constructive disagreements?
It struck me, Emily, that we can look at two things. We can look both at the leader and we can look at those who are members of the team. And I think for leaders, let's check in on our ego. Because when we feel like our ego is bruised because someone disagrees, that's when we're going to have issues. So that's the leader. For the team members, let us look at ourselves to see if we have to be always disagreeing and always disruptive, if that's our aim. Because it's very important to disagree when you have a point that needs to be disagreed. But look at any excesses. Am I disagreeing because I need attention? Am I disagreeing because I do not like the leader and therefore I do not like his or her ideas? So we need to look at that. And then both of us together now need to look at what do we want to come out of the conversation that we're having. So it's not about the person, it's not about the personality, it's about the issue that we're dealing with. So let us dissect it. What is
Mhm.
it that we want together to achieve out of this conversation? And have that dialogue so that when we disagree, it is constructive and it is not breaking down any individual or any process.
Yes. Yeah. So what I like about that is the focus is on the outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
What do we want to get from this conversation? Where are we trying to take the team? What
Yeah.
is, like when we're thinking that you brought up strategy or any conversation
Mm-hmm.
within the organization, where it is that we're heading? What is the experience that we want? If it is that it's customer based, what is the experience we want the customers to have? And we
Mm-hmm.
put on that mindset that allows us to then be open about our thinking. And
Right.
I think, I mean, while yes, we are encouraging leaders and team members to check in on themselves,
Mm-hmm.
of course, as leaders, I think we must also look at our attitude towards the conflict. And
Yes.
are we seeing the people? So the
Yes.
same questions you asked about the team, ask it from the leader. Are we seeing the people
Yes.
disagree as problems because we're just trying to push our ideas through, or we just want to get done quickly? Are
Mm-hmm.
we instead, do we, can we welcome these challenges as opportunities to
Yeah.
truly listen to the points raised and allow for better decisions to emerge? And can
Mm-hmm.
we create that space where we're not just tolerating
No,
differences, but we're welcoming them? And it's a different energy to welcome,
totally different.
totally different. So we need to have this curiosity. We need to drop our judgment. We need to not think of attacking. You're not being attacked
Right.
just because somebody doesn't like your idea.
Mm-hmm.
So look at it, try to take the higher ground position, the perspective. So you say, okay, you don't like it, let's see, let's talk about it. So it's not because it's my idea. Let's just,
Right.
you don't like the idea. It's not about me. It's not about you. Yeah.
Yes. This is where the coaching hat comes in for the leaders, because this is the perfect opportunity now for them to ask questions. So
Yes.
they ask a simple question: what are we not seeing here? That's a simple question you ask the team, and that now opens the space for conversation. You
Yes.
may even say, what feels uncomfortable for you right now,
Yes.
and that opens another room. And
Yes.
you know that Mr. Elephant, we love to talk about him, the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. What is it that is troubling you? So those are some simple questions we ask, and you're going to be amazed at how it shifts the energy in the room when you ask those simple questions, because you're now inviting engagement and involvement.
Yes. And of course, it is important how you respond
Mm-hmm.
when the when the disagreement
Yes.
is made, or when the idea pops up that is counter what is being said.
Yeah.
So again, I think the active listening, Georgia, it's not
Mm-hmm.
about winning the argument in this case. When we get to this part of the meeting, it's
Mm-hmm.
about listening and
Yes.
truly just to hear what is being said, not to say, okay, I hear what you said, but so. It's to listen and explore it for a bit and sort of hold the
Mm-hmm.
space for it,
Right.
so that with the curiosity, with the respect, so that afterwards, after we have these things aired, these
Mm-hmm.
issues aired, we can then apply it to the decision at hand, or the conversation at hand, to determine if there's a shift that's needed. So
Mm-hmm.
say you want to implement a change, but we haven't thought, I mean, you are the leader of the team, so you don't necessarily know every single step that everybody's doing at their desk,
Right.
what is happening, what the different uh, parts, you should know it maybe, but you've got
Mm-hmm.
to understand what they are going through. So
Right.
let them express what they're going through on the ground, so we can see how we can address that concern, that issue, and then maybe adjust the outcome,
Mm-hmm.
adjust
Mm-hmm.
the steps a little bit to incorporate their concern to get to the same outcome that we want to get to.
Yes.
So it's a matter of really allowing that space, holding that space to listen, and not just try to counter each thing that's being said. Well, yes, I hear you, but
Mm-hmm.
yes, I hear you, but remember, no buts,
Yes.
and
And
no buts.
yes, because are you just listening to respond, or were you
Exactly.
listening to understand what they were
And
saying? And Emily, one thing that we didn't address at all, and this may be for another time, but even in these constructive disagreement moments, our body language is so important.
mhm,
So it's the leader who, when someone, disagrees, are we rolling our eyes or giving the heavy sigh? Or when we are the person disagreeing, are we doing it combatively? So our body language says it's not about the topic we're talking about, but it's about you. So those are very important things as well, to watch our body language, whether we are receiving the disagreement or we are the person disagreeing. It makes a
yes,
whole world of a difference, the way we
yes,
present it.
yes, Georgia. And as you said, I think we really do need to talk about that on a second topic, because we also
Yeah.
tend to mirror. So if
Yes.
you feel like you are being attacked and you react or respond in that same tone, it goes
Mm-hmm.
down that way. But if you, even if somebody comes at you and you're able to hold it,
Mm-hmm.
keep yourself open, keep yourself stable, and respond with a
Mm-hmm.
tone and body language that de-escalates it. You can
Mm-hmm.
bring it down. You can also, and people will, we do this dance all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
I like to call it the dance, right? Where we are going one up, like one step, one step, one step. So you can change the tone of the dance, right?
Yes, yes.
And
What's the beat of the
so
music?
sorry.
What's the beat of the music that we're
What's
going
the
to?
correct, correct. So
Mm-hmm.
the idea with all of this is that by having these conversations, we are in fact building trust. People talk about how to build trust, but this is one way. People will trust you when they feel heard by
Mm-hmm.
you, and when really heard, right? Not just heard and it went in one ear and came out the other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's not about avoiding the conflict, but
No.
it's surviving it together. So Georgia mentioned, look at the problem as the thing on the outside, the thing that we're trying to
Yes.
solve, or the outcome. I like to reframe it to the outcome, the thing
Outcome.
we're trying to get.
Right.
But that's what we're really working on together. And if we can allow ourselves to go to resolve the issue internally, we will find that you see that same wheels not spinning when it's time to execute, but you'll find
Mm-hmm.
the execution so much more smooth
Mm-hmm.
because we had those conversations. So everybody is really on board and
Yes.
things are moving forward. And it's not a one-stop shop. It's a
No.
continuous thing, right?
Yeah.
Every.
Yes. Yeah. So Emily, all, is really seeing how we can move from what we're calling now this artificial harmony, and
Yes.
how together we're moving now more to what would we call it now, like a productive friction. So
Yeah.
we're going to have that little tension there, but how can we make it productive?
Yeah.
So move away from this false harmony. Everybody
Exactly.
agreeing and nodding and yes, and then you have a second meeting after the meeting.
Yeah.
And move now to a state where we're disagreeing, yes, but it's a productive kind of disagreement. We still have that friction, but that friction is about the matter, not about the person.
Yes. And the reminder to everyone is that tension isn't bad.
No.
It's good. We can work through it. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to have the discomfort while being respectful
Yes.
and truthful in the conversation. And from the leader's perspective, again, setting that tone. So I guess with the call to action here, this is landing people. And again, whether it's your work environment, your personal, because this is very personal too. I mean, we
Oh,
have
yeah.
all the
Oh,
time with
yeah.
our friends, with
Mhm,
our family,
mhm.
with our
Oh, Lord, the
significant
husband.
correct. So how are we having? Are we just sweeping everything under that carpet and it's never getting dealt with, and we having the same conversation recurring every time? If that is happening, then we need to think about how to have the uncomfortable
Mhm,
conversations, how to allow ourselves to go there so we can really get to the root of the issue
mhm,
and
mhm.
really move forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
So listen to the tips here. We've
Yeah.
mentioned several. Choose one and do it.
Yes, just go have your conversations. Just be mindful that you're dealing with a common enemy, that problem, and both of you get together and work on it.
Exactly. So thank you guys for listening. I hope you had a great time with us, just Georgia and I today. But we really just love this topic. And
Yes.
everybody talks about not airing dirty laundry in public, and they make it this big deal. But really, we need to air some dirty laundry in public
Hmm.
so that we can all do better together.
Great.
Have
Take
a
care,
great day.
everyone.
Yes.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.